Well, for more on the story, we're joined by Omar H. Rahman. He's a fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs. Really good to have you back with us, Omar. A lot to unpack here, but let's start with the group of 25 Western nations calling for an immediate end to Israel's war in Gaza, calling the killings of Palestinians at aid distribution points inhumane. What's your reaction to that? Surely it's helpful for the Palestinian cause, but will that manage to move the needle somewhat?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I mean, we heard in your report, David Lammy use, a litany of harsh words. I mean, he can open the dictionary and use every harsh adjective he can find, unless these states are willing to back up these words with actions, pressure against Israel, pressure against the United States for backing Israel through this genocide, then we're not going to see any change in Israeli policy. And unfortunately, these states have been unwilling to do that. And the other part of your report showing them going after activists is a perfect example or demonstration that they have no interest in actually putting actions to their words, because they're arresting and brutalizing the people that are trying to put pressure on these governments, these Western governments, to take some type of action to pressure Israel and hold it accountable.
Well, that's right. And despite the words of condemnation from this group of countries, Israel is actually expanding its offensive in Gaza, moving into places like Deir al Balah, seemingly oblivious or ignoring the global chorus of condemnation. What will it take, do you think, for Israel to at least agree to this US-backed proposal for a 60-day truce?
Well, I mean, the gap here is between Hamas's demand that the war end and Israel's refusal to end its fighting. Israel wants to pause things for a little bit, recover its captives in Gaza, and then continue with its overall objective, which is the total destruction of Gaza and the forcible displacement of its population outside the Gaza Strip. That is the goal. And Israel, unless Israel faces, a real punishment for that and real consequences for that and real pressure against that, it won't change direction. It has no reason to. And that's why these 25 states and everybody else, including the United States, really has no credibility in the eyes of the Israelis when it comes to their willingness to force consequences upon the Israelis. So I don't see any change of direction forthcoming, unfortunately, until that happens. And there's so much room for action to be taken. I mean, they should be hammering this every day, not just at this point, 650 something days into this, issuing a joint statement. I mean, every single day there should be demands and action being taken by the United Nations, by all these countries against the perpetrators, against the backers of this genocide, until it can be brought to an end. That's the only way we're going to see some change.
You mentioned the United States because it does seem that if Israel were to listen to anyone, it would be the US President Donald Trump. We know in the recent past he's called for an end to the hostilities. He's even hinting at the fact that a truce is perhaps on the horizon. What's your view on what the Trump administration is doing in terms of trying to bring an end to Israel's war?
I don't think the Trump administration really has a policy. I think Trump would have liked to see it come to an end and him being involved in that end so he could claim, he could claim credit for any type of ceasefire that happens. But he's unwilling to invest real political capital in pressuring the Israelis. And, Trump has 100 things on his plate. This is one of them. He doesn't really care about the Palestinians because the Palestinians have no real power or influence in the world, and therefore they're unimportant in his world calculus. He doesn't have any kind of allegiance to international law or human rights or any of these type of things. And so he just fundamentally doesn't care. Again, would he want to see it? Sure. Is he going to do something about it? Not really, because the Israelis have one issue on their plate. They have one objective that they're trying to achieve, and that's here in the Palestinian territories. They're trying to take over this land and push the Palestinians out. And so Trump, with his 100 issues, He might invest a little bit of time, but ultimately the Israelis will always beat him unless he is committed to resolving the situation. And that's why it's never been resolved, because no American president is willing to invest that type of time and political capital and face the repercussions of that the Israelis and the leverage that the Israelis are able to impose in places like in Washington and London and Paris and all these capitals in Berlin. And therefore, nobody's taking action against them, unfortunately.
Okay, Omar H. Rahman, we'll have to leave it there. Great to get your thoughts as always. Thank you.